Hello, it's me, your one and only, your forever loving. It's Plumpy from WhatCulture.com, joined by Adam Cleary from WhatCulture.com and by James Dixon from WhatCulture.com. Now, you see that we have here on this square table a bunch of magazines because we are doing a roundtable, not only about the newest issue of wrestling, issue 6, look at all these lovely covers, but also our 100 favorite wrestlers in the world working today.
I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
There's a huge difference between favourite and best.
Well, I mean, it was voted for.
By objective, professional,
right.
industry people.
Yeah.
Who put their favouritism to one side to instead examine the ability level.
I understand.
It's a clear distinction I think is worth making from the get-go.
Good start, guys.
James Dixon is wearing an Alexa Bliss shirt. Show it off to the camera.
Yes.
Because
that is obviously my number one choice.
Very creepy dad.
Yes. She's old enough.
Oh, no.
You're wearing a wrestling T-shirt.
I am.
The same one you were wearing on yesterday's podcast, in fact.
That's right.
None of these people make the list. Because none of them are working today.
No, a lot of them are dead.
Bottom corner. Off layer. There we go.
A lot of them are dead.
No, none of them are making the list.
But yeah, you, as ever, you two helmed the magazine, which is what you do so well. Possibly the greatest thing you contribute to WhatCulture. Possibly the greatest thing WhatCulture currently makes.
Stop.
One could say.
I'm not going to sleep with you.
It's consistently excellent, and I genuinely hate the fact that I've said that. But look, we'll just get it out of the way. It's available now at shop.whatculture.com. And you can even get it signed, not only by me, but also by Adam Cleary. I don't believe there's
No, not by me.
No.
I'll never sign up for this.
You can get that happening if that is what would make you happy. But yeah, the main spine of the issue is the 100 best wrestlers working today. We have 5 covers.
We didn't want to give it away, you see, because we thought...
I think it's not a spoiler to say all 5 have made the top 100.
Yes, the women have their own list, that's worth pointing out, so we've included one of them. But yeah, they all make the top 100. They all make the top 25?
Probably.
I can't remember where one of them comes.
3 of them definitely
3
do.
of them make the top 10. One of them makes the top half.
I'd say top 20.
Yeah, I think it's top 20.
It might be.
Do you want me to check while you two talk amongst yourselves?
Makes us look incompetent, but yes.
Well, this isn't their first video, I'm sure.
Well, let's talk for a start. James Dixon, you have been a wrestling fan for 64 years.
They make the top 27.
Indeed. Yeah, approximately, yes.
Yeah. Obviously you've seen styles come and styles go. First of all, I'd be quite interested to know what style of wrestling you most enjoy watching right now, considering that you've gone through all of it, pretty much.
Thank you for making me feel so very old.
Greco-Roman catch.
Yes, I remember Jim Londos. Yes, I don't have a favorite style as such. I mean, I love watching Will Ospreay as much as I love watching, Braun Strowman. Very different. Very
quite different.
And Alexa, of course. But yeah, sorry, that's the last one.
It's not.
So I don't think there's a set style. I think if someone's really great, you can appreciate them regardless of how they work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we tried to do when we were putting the list together as well. Take our own bias away from the situation, and be objective about who really is the greatest for pure in-ring ability, as well as a couple of other factors like drawing power and things like that. They were considered, when it was a tie-break.
Like we've done top wrestlers before, and it's always something that you have to consider is that wrestling ability in-ring is really only one strand. There's
of course it is. Yeah.
Charisma on the mic is as fundamental to being a successful wrestler as
probably more so in WWE, for example. Being a great wrestler doesn't get you a job there. It's probably the last thing they really look for, because they can train you to work the way they want you to work, so that doesn't really matter. But for us, for this list especially, it was very much work rate orientated, and everything else was secondary.
And looking at the top 10 especially,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very kind of mirrors of just kind of like what's hot in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not a spoiler to say that Okada and Omega are both in the top 10.
Oh yes.
And whether or not they deserve to be in the top 10, I don't think that's really in question. But it also feels like a list that's very kind of on the pulse right now. And then that is the point of the list, is the best working wrestlers in the world right now. I mean, like, but how, for example, if you did this list last year, how radically different would it be?
I don't think you'd see Kenny anywhere near as high as he is.
We actually talked about this when we were putting it together. Because one of the things that was different about issue 6 is, and I don't want to talk about the mag more than we're talking about the concept, but everything we've done previously is meant to be timeless, and so you could read it forever. But this was the first time where we wanted to do something that was kind of like a freeze frame of the moment, which is why we're very keen to have the word best wrestlers in the world today. So we haven't really considered careers so much, like what's counted.
No, not
what counts
really.
for them is their ability sort of in the here and now, how they've done the last. What was our
last
point?
6 months to a year?
6 months
really,
is roughly what we said.
Yeah.
But there's people who are trading and getting entire careers off, stuff they've done, yes, previously, deservedly so, but it kind of ruled. We actually sat and there was a couple of big names that aren't in this at all, because we looked at it and thought, right now, really, they're not doing anything that
Yeah, and there's some who only just made it as well. Like, I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but Randy Orton was close, to not being involved at all, purely because there's no doubt in how good he is or how good he was. But I think if you look at his last year, what's he done that anyone wants to even watch?
I believe Bray Wyatt's not in this at all.
Correct.
And I think that's interesting, because if you had done this list, say, in 2014, when he was fighting the Shield at Elimination
he'd have been
Chamber.
top 50 at least.
Yeah,
I would think, if not higher. There was a lot of buzz about him. Buzz is important as well, I think, in wrestling.
and that's the thing. Like, that is for me, when talking about greatest wrestlers working today, and this is kind of where we step apart from the magazine, is that buzz does appear to be a contributing factor, and it's really tied into drawing power, isn't it? Because I'd say Bray Wyatt is probably a better worker than he was 3 years ago, probably.
You would think he'd improve with practice, right?
But his buzz has gone down, so it's weird. Like, fundamentally, he's the same wrestler as he was, but he's not drawing the same reactions, which in turn makes his matches a lot worse. It's weird how you can wrestle the same match, but depending on your momentum, it can be.
Sasha and Bayley is a perfect example of that. Their match in Brooklyn compared to their match on Raw the other week, which was okay. It was fine, but you've got this all-time. And I really do consider it an all-time great match,
Same.
Sasha and Bayley. And, a lot of us do here, but everything they've done since in the main roster anyway hasn't been anywhere near that, because the crowd don't care as much, which hurts it, and they don't have that buzz. They're not that hidden, best-kept secret anymore. So I think you're absolutely right, and I think that applies to Kenny Omega as well. The buzz from him has been since Wrestle Kingdom. It's been before that for people who've been watching, but
since winning G1, really.
Probably G1. But he's always been good. People have always known about Kenny, who've followed him and followed Japan and followed when he was working elsewhere, like in DDT. But now that the match with Okada really put him on the map for everybody, and I think it's interesting that what you say there about buzz being applicable to drawing power. I think that's absolutely right, because now more than ever, it's that instant fix buzz, isn't it? It's like Goldberg comes back and he's got this buzz, and you put him in the main event, and then he's just gone all as quickly as he came. And
Saved the purpose.
Yeah, and it worked in drawing short term, and I think everything is very short term now in wrestling.
Matt Hardy, I think, another fantastic example.
Yeah, he made it.
Right.
2 years ago,
There's no chance.
Wouldn't have even scraped the top 100. But and he's still exactly this. Like, he's not the greatest in-ring worker. You see him on Raw, and he moves with the agility of a man his age. But the palpable kind of excitement the fans feel about him is a testament to what he's done outside of the ring, and that in turn has made him into a better wrestler than Bray Wyatt, a man who is several years his junior.
It's kind of weird, because it's not effectively Bray Wyatt's fault then that he hasn't made this. He's probably he's done everything that's been asked of him. He's tried to put on good matches where he can. He's put on some very good matches.
Yeah, no one in the office rates him enough to put him on a list.
And I mean, if we did a list of 100 people ranked by pure wrestling ability, I'm sure he'd probably make it on. If we did 100 people based on how good they are,
I mean, it kind of is that, though.
They'd probably make it. Yeah, but as we say, there's a lot more to it.
Like, there is
overall where they are in the general consensus of wrestling viewership. And could do it the ways, but same with Sasha and Bayley to an extent. The way they've been booked and the way we've been forced to consume them as performers means that they're just not there. They're not where they were a year or two ago.
Is Bayley even in the top 10?
Bailey didn't. The women's list is top 10.
Yeah.
For anyone who hadn't realised that, I don't think Bailey's
I
in.
don't
It's
think Bailey
just
made
Sasha
it. No,
and
Charlotte made
Charlotte's
it.
Oh,
in.
definitely.
For
In
obviously,
terms of WWE, it's not actually that heavy.
No, there's not for good reason
For
as
good
well.
reason,
That
no.
they haven't really, for all they claim, a revolution. It's definitely better than it was. It's
Did
not
your daughter make it?
the revolution.
No, your Alexa Bliss.
Oh, Alexa, my daughter.
Oh God,
yes.
don't call her that. That's
That's
Jesus.
creepy, isn't
wow.
it?
You're literally wearing her shirt.
I know.
Her candy-coloured
I know.
You're such a supportive dad.
I am. See, that's what it is. I'm trying to help her.
Every day is sports day for you, isn't it? Shouting at the telly. Go Alexa.
Anyway, that's me.
This took a
finished.
turn, didn't it?
That's the end
No,
of me.
she actually didn't make the list. Other people did argue for her inclusion, and I was actually the one who said no to
Alexa.
that. Yeah,
She is in there.
she's not in the list.
She is.
She isn't.
Did we take her out?
We argued about it. Well, I may have lost the
I
argument if
think
she
you lost
ended up
the
making it in.
argument. It's number 10.
Well, there you go then. Squeezed
Yeah,
in.
she's number 10.
Number
Well.
10, Alexa Bliss.
There you go. Just made it then. Just made
So,
it.
Harry, you're a huge fan of Alexa Bliss. Why wouldn't you have her in there?
Name me a great match, she said.
I
That's what we're basing it on.
I
right?
really liked the match she
Her
had
versus
with
Sasha,
Bailey.
I'd say.
Great. Really good or great?
At the last pay-per-view, I think it was
Well,
one of the
oh,
better
with the
matches
arm-
of the
with
night.
the arm.
Well,
yeah,
the last
thing.
pay-per-view happened before this was finished. So, good point.
Actually, I remember sitting there watching it going, oh, we've just put her in the list as well. That's good. She's had a really good match.
But then the match with Bailey.
Oh, but...
Matches with Bailey.
Was it Roadblock where they had a match, the two of them? And I think it got like nearly 4 stars or something.
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
It's 3.75, I think. So I remember looking this up when we were arguing about putting her in. I'm sure it was against Bailey at maybe Roadblock. Someone tweet us. And it was
Possibly.
very
I mean, I think she's good, but I think she's very green still and very raw. She's getting. I mean, the improvements she's made over the past year since being called up have been phenomenal, and to the point where she placed very highly in our most improved end of the year awards in the magazine.
She did, yeah.
You know, I don't think she quite. I can't remember who won it, to be honest. It was a while ago, but she was up there, you know, and contesting the top spot in that. So she's been brilliant, but she's not as good as the real super workers in women's wrestling. Not even close.
But she is one of the most. I mean, if I give you the choice right now, you can sit down and watch an hour of programming about any women in wrestling. You'd probably pick Alexa Bliss.
Of course, it would. But not,
But no, for
ulterior
reasons you can talk about on camera.
right. Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
Let's talk about your opinions, Mr. Cleary. Like you are
Such as they are.
predominantly a WWE guy.
Yes, I'm very much wrestling by osmosis. Surrounded by it a lot.
Who is your who's got the total package other than Lex Luger?
I
Very
don't want to echo you, but I think Styles personally.
Yeah,
I think
Styles is
I think
mine.
he's proved in the last sort of 12 months that he could have been one of these people that moved over to WWE, very easily got lost in the shake-up, ended up becoming a mid-card guy. I even wrote
There's plenty of those.
Not WrestleMania Gone, the one before that. I wrote articles about big questions we've got after the show, and one of them was why did they even bother with AJ Styles? Because they've just drawn him in. It's had a very pedestrian feud with Chris Jericho, which he's lost at WrestleMania, and you could just see him getting shuffled right down at the mid-pack, being solidly entertaining, having match of the night most nights, but never really going anywhere.
Vince wasn't a fan at that point.
And in
That's all
12
it
months, he's now.
He was given the boss's son to work with at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That tells you everything. I mean, look how good SmackDown was when AJ was the champ, and look how it is now. It's okay now. But he made that work though.
To an extent.
The Ellsworth stuff was absolutely
Ellsworth is
putrid, but
dreadful.
Can you imagine it being anybody else?
Yeah.
Them getting anything out of the rest of them.
Yeah, AJ made it work as well as it could have worked. I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying it worked as well as it could have. But I don't think there's many on the roster who could have done that.
No, his match with Cena, he's already racked up a significant number of Match of the Year candidates in the space of 2 years.
The Rumble match.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Okada and Kenny, that match would be, revered so much more highly. I mean, it's revered. It's revered now.
Annoyingly happened at pretty much the same
Yeah.
time. I'd say AJ Styles was one of mine, but in terms of in-ring ability, not quite, but in terms of sheer bloody spectacle, in terms of making every show he's on better and providing the best gifts of wrestling week in, week out, it's Braun bloody Strowman. I genuinely if you could
imagine that a year ago, right?
if you told me you can watch a single rest, like you have to watch 10 matches. Like your example, you have to watch 10 matches and one wrestler is in all of them. Which would you like to see? Genuinely, it's either AJ Styles or Braun Strowman.
Braun doesn't place particularly hard. He's in this. He made it in. He's got there's a very good illustration of him looking like a steam train. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he made it in there, which again, as you say, 12 months ago would have been if we'd done this exact same thing then.
Remember when he was supposed to be working Lesnar or Taker at Mania when that was the rumor and everyone went ballistic, you know?
I just want to watch him wrestle. I want to watch him wrestle the most, which is how else can you kind of clarify?
I'm sad we're probably not ever going to see like properly Strowman Lesnar. I know he's going to be in this.
You will.
One-on-one.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Absolutely. Lesnar's there at Mania. He's wrestling in September.
But if he loses, he's leaving WWE and taking Paul Heyman with him.
He's not going to lose.
That's a spoiler.
Put your money on now, everybody.
Lump on it.
Lesnar
7-1
Lesnar
on.
is going nowhere.
Well, maybe you're right. I think maybe we'll get to see that.
They've been wanting to do it for a long time. It was supposed to be the Great Balls of Fire main event. It was.
It's still just a funny name, to be honest. Yeah, well, maybe cool. But again, 12 months ago, if I'd said I really want to see Strowman Lesnar,
point stands,
you'd pat me on the head and be, that's nice. Would you like another milky button?
A lot of, applies for a lot of guys in this. I mean, Samoa Joe, not a year ago, but a couple of years ago, when he was in the dying throngs of his TNA run, and he was nowhere near the guy that he once was. He used to be, arguably one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Him and Angle had incredible matches. Him and AJ and Daniels had these great matches. In various combinations, and then he sort of trailed off. He lost interest, understandably, based on the booking and what he was having to do. And, he comes to NXT and he's good, and then he gets better and better and better. And then, even though, he's no spring chicken either, but he's got so good again. I think he's phenomenal now. But a couple of years ago, I don't think he'd have made the top 10, top 20.
No.
So there's a lot of guys like that.
Good Jericho. Jericho wasn't so constantly inventive. Yeah. Like, he wouldn't be scraping. And just in terms of pure work rate, like, he keeps up, but, like, nowhere near as quick as he used to be. But his mind is he's just got the wrestling mind.
He reinvents himself so well.
A few years ago, he probably wouldn't have made it in, but he's had
even
such a powerful...
last year, when he beat AJ, everyone was furious.
Yeah, like, why give him that win? There's no point to it. But the last 12 months, again, almost... I mean, the list thing, I know I'm going to get absolutely slayed for saying this, but I genuinely see so many similarities between the list angle and the whole broken thing, because it was ridiculous at first. And it got over, and everybody loves it, and it completely reinvented him.
Everything in wrestling that gets over is ridiculous. The Rock.
People like stupid things.
Hogan used to win with a leg drop. Ultimate Warrior. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Wrestling is ridiculous, but it becomes, cool, great, interesting, fun, whatever it might be.
You couldn't do leg drops on people in wrestling. It would be too dangerous.
Kill them.
They would die.
It'd be more dangerous than Mabel.
Have you seen his legs?
Yes.
They're like two
tree
of a
trunks
normal
out
man.
There, yes. Speaking of tree trunks, there's a lot of
where's this going?
I don't know. There's a lot of very flippy, modern era, high flying style wrestlers in this list. Rather than
hello, is that the non sequitur shop? No, that's too outrageous.
Of course not. Tree trunks, big guys, big legs, the big show. I don't know. It was a path we could take.
I know we make a song and dance about British wrestling at the minute. We do. We are slightly invested in that, in another element of our jobs. But there are a number of British guys who
they're really good.
Who are really, really good. One in the top 5, no less.
I should say a lot of the voters didn't have anything to do with WCPW, because I know that'll be
actually that's a point. We should probably explain how the compiling process went, because that was very much your.
We had a day to desperately scramble together some sort of list, of 100 guys. We discussed it at length, and by length I mean about 10 hours, and argued, and then we all made our votes of who our top 30 were.
I remember the argument about whether or not I think it was Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, and Orton.
Yeah, whether they could make it. Yeah, because basically what happened
Michael
with
Sidgwick had such strong opinions.
He did. He did.
As is his want.
But the top 30 got us. I think it was about 10 or 11 people voted, who work in the office and writers, and not everyone who works in the office mind. It was some people who write for us.
You went into your very dark secret book of contacts and asked many people.
Indeed, I did, and it got us to about 65, 70 guys. And we already had a short list as well. And the other 30 we had to debate, which is where because everything else was just ranked in order, you know, based on like points for first, points for second, etc. But everyone after that point, you know, that was when the arguments happened. So that's where the whole Wyatt gate began.
It's how long? It's been out about a month now. Looking through it now, do you think has anything changed your opinion? Because I know wrestling moves so quickly. I mean, I had a look through it before we came on. It still feels about right to me for the moment.
Feels like still on the pulse.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it changes so quickly. I think in a couple of months' time, we'll probably look and go, oh man, like that guy maybe should have been hired.
Honestly, looking at it, I think
it's in the now,
I
like
think
you
it'll
said,
age
it's for
really
now.
well.
Maybe.
I think you stand by a lot of these choices. A lot. I think we should wrap it up by talk about because you talk about the timeless quality of it. Who do you think is either not on the list or lower down the list that if we were to do this list a year from now would be top 10?
I'll let you go first.
That is a tough one.
Maybe Strowman.
Probably Strowman is the answer. There.
He was mine.
He's quite way up.
I think there's probably a couple of guys in WWE who, you know, with the right push and the right buzz, you know, as we've said, could break into that.
Carry on. I need to find a specific line in this which is going to blow everybody's mind.
Please do.
Carry on.
I will say that I won't say what position he was, but I think in a year's time, if he keeps going the way he is, that Will Ospreay will be challenging for number one.
Agreed.
I'm gonna give a position away.
So if you knew the exact thing,
you just have to realise it's a spoiler. Number 48, Jason Jordan. Like Kurt Angle before him.
Amazing. We know what's going on.
Like Kurt Angle before
guys.
him, wrestling standout Jason Jordan has made a seamless transition to the professional ranks. Almost as if... Now we can't pretend we knew, can we?
No.
I think Zayn or Strowman.
Really?
Yeah.
You think there's still hope for him?
But for you, Sami, God, yeah.
I think he's so cold, though.
He is cold, but in a year's time.
Vince has got to become a fan. That's the key. What can he do to make Vince a fan of him?
I don't know.
You know, until he finds that, and he's been there a while, you know, and great matches aren't the answer because he's tried that. So, you know, what else can he do? I mean,
funny hat. If he wears a funny hat, that'll work. He's 25th, Sami Zayn.
He can be top 10 in a year.
You think?
Easy.
I think he's got the raw materials.
He's absolutely got the ability. Absolutely.
But there's a lot of people who aren't even in here despite having the raw ability.
2 years ago, Sami Zayn would have made the top 10.
Yeah,
based on his NXT
after Dallas.
stuff.
Yeah.
I've just had a quick click through there, and I'd completely forgotten how broad in terms of where they are in the world, in terms of who they work for. The top 10 is there's a couple of indie guys, a couple of WWE guys, a couple of New Japan guys. It's really broadly spread out.
Well, that as well, you know.
Must tell you, it's a great time in terms of choice to be a wrestling fan.
So many great wrestlers. It's been the best year in wrestling in terms of quality, I think.
That keeps happening.
It does,
keeps
it
being
does.
The best year in wrestling. Long may especially the UK boom last. Who knows? Long may it though. Let's
hope. I just think that kind of style, it's ultimately gonna end badly somewhere for somebody, and then everything will have to change again. Look, it took Misawa dying in the ring for Japan to change the way they work over there, and there's been a couple of things creeping in recently in the G1 that are a little bit disconcerting.
Shibata's injury.
Shibata's injury is one. I mean, that was obviously a couple of months ago. Some of the stuff with Evil over the last couple of weeks, where he's been wrestling with concussions. How quickly people forget,
Well, I'm going to draw this to a close. Once again, you can pick up your favourite copy of issue 6 of Wrestling from shop.whatculture.com. Let us know, of course, your top wrestler working in the world today. And I think the easiest way to answer that question is simply, if you had to watch nothing but, one guy wrestling all these different matches, who do you want to see wrestle the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This has been another Square Table from WhatCulture.com. This has been Adam Cleary. This has been Creepy James Dixon. And we will see you soon.